Domhnall, Nugent, we're going to do something different here right from the start. We're going to get into the meat of it, may as well right from the start. People get the idea of what we're talking about. So I want to show you a little slide here that I think will resonate with yourself and especially to do with a little tweet that you had recently. If you know me based on who I was a year ago, you don't know me at all. My growth game is strong. Allow me to introduce or reintroduce myself. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, a lot, Obviously a year ago to now, there's been big changes. It's actually funny, we're talking tonight, this is the 9th of June, so the 10th of June last year, I was getting ready just to head into Sister Concilio's, so it's been a crazy year, and the difference in me, I suppose, in a year. The difference that I can see in myself, most importantly, it's been brilliant, so yeah, definitely.
People wouldn't know you a year ago, but people might still judge you and who you were back then. But you had a tweet a couple of weeks ago, or June the 3rd, actually, you said 1 year sober today, yeah. 365 days at a time, some tough days, some great days, a brilliant journey, recovery. What I liked about that was that you had 1,400 likes, yet you've only 1,000 followers. So it shows that reached a lot of people. But have you found that people are judging you on the past, on the old you or the new you?
Well, there's no doubt that I've harmed a lot of people, Jerome, whenever I was drinking and stuff and getting up to no good and, lying to people and borrowing money or whatever and cheating but a lot of those people that I affected, I've went to them, and apologized throughout the last year, some last week, some 11 months ago. And you know what, if I've accepted it, that I've made mistakes and I've accepted who I am today. If I didn't make them mistakes, would it be where I am today? Probably not. So I've learned a lot from it. But if people want to judge me for what way I was before, then I heard whenever I was in Concilio's, one of the counsellors said to me, well, someone's opinion of you is none of your business. So, whatever way they want to think of me, that's fine. And, I always used to be deep into oh, what are they thinking of me? Or if I'm sitting in Costa or whatever, are they looking at me or what do they think? Am I whatever, dead paranoid and stuff like that. But if you don't like me, if you don't want to get on with me, then that's fine. I just have to accept that. That's fair enough. That's your opinion to me. But, I've accepted that I've done some bad things. But you have to move on to life too, Jerome,
And at the minute, obviously, this lockdown has tested everybody's mental health. How have you been through it? I mean, do you feel that you're dealing with it much better now than you maybe would have done, say, a year or two ago?
Definitely. Well, from being in Concilio's, it did give me the tools, to, maybe deal with things like this. Suppose no one can really prepare for something like this, but, the first couple of weeks, Jerome, where I didn't have any work, I'm not lie, I'm sitting up at the 2 or 3 in the morning and watching Netflix and getting into a bit of a rut. And then the more time you sit and you're thinking, and then all of a sudden sort of this thinking comes along, and then you're going back to what you were, and you're going, you're living in your head, more than, and then you're maybe sort of, the way I described myself was, maybe a year ago was like a prison inside my head. And maybe I've sort of going back to that because I didn't have the structure, I didn't have the routine, so, but I was able to nip it on the bud and say, do you know what I'm doing here isn't working. And I changed it. So, before I went back to work, I went and got a bike, started drawing out timetables maybe to stick to, back training and things like that. So I was glad I was able to get out of it, because I recognized there was a bit of a problem. And it's good. It showed me, it was a big learning curve for me too, because I was able to sit back in my flat and go, do you know what, I should be proud of myself that I was able to get out of a situation like that, without going on and saying, sure, I'll go and have a drink or go and have a smoke or whatever, so no, I was actually kind of proud of myself a couple of weeks ago, getting out of that sort of wee rut, so yeah, it was good. So I'm not going to lie, it was a bit tough, but now, it has been good, having that bit of structure and back working and stuff like that and working hard, and yeah, so all good now, thankfully.
Well, you're proud of yourself, and 1,400 other people are proud of you too, because they all commented on that. They're all glad to see what you've done. But maybe we should go back a step and just go back to the tough bits, and go back to where it was before we move on, because you're talking about concilios and stuff like that, and that's a place down Uri where you went, and was it 12 weeks you were down there and that. But even before that, let's go back to you as a young fella growing up in West Belfast, and you had various problems, and you went round, you were at St John's, and then you went to Lamderg up in the hill, and then there was a famous incident in a match that we don't really need to go into all the details of it, but you were a confrontational young man, I think would be the best way to put it. But there's a quote by a fella that I know, Wayne Dyer, this American fella. Now he's not around anymore, but he left a legacy of great quotes and things, and he said, what you do is not what you are. And I'd say a lot of people looked at you and thought, he's the big lad, he's the Antrim hurler. Yeah. And that's what you do, but it wasn't who you were. But maybe you didn't know who you were in those days. If you could just give us a bit of a sort of an idea of what it was like for you back in those days.
Well, like I've made it quite aware. I had a sort of a bit of a troubled sort of childhood, growing up, coming from a broken marriage and things like that, and that was tough. You're always sort of seeking, my biggest problem probably growing up was I was always seeking validation off people, Jerome. Like, I wanted people to love me, and that's all I really wanted. So if I wasn't getting that by playing well in the match, then I needed some sort of attention, good or bad. So maybe I would react in school, get in trouble in school, get sent off in a match, slap at the referees, things like that there, and who was it then? I don't know. I suppose I was just always trying to like find myself, or but I didn't really become aware of these sort of patterns of behaviour until I went to concilios. But always growing up, it was always sort of like running away from problems and stuff like that. And I suppose that's where the transfer and stuff came from St John's up to Laverne. And like, something small happened in St John's, and I made it turned into like a snowball incident, and then I went to Laverne. But like I said it before, at that time in my life, I thought it was the right thing to do, so I have to respect that decision. Now, sometimes I may look back and regret and say, Jesus, I could have had a championship with St John's. I grew up with them boys, my best friends, playing with them since I was 3. But like, so be it. It happened, and I have forgiven myself for that, to a certain extent. Maybe not fully until I won a championship with St John's. But even what happened that day with Podrick, and it was a bit confrontational, and
brother,
we fell out with my brother. Yeah, what happened was,
and your dad on
the yeah, Laverne got 2 points up, and Podrick went to put the ball in the tee, and I ran and putted the ball out, and he came at me, and I went down. He didn't really hit me, but he got a straight red, and my dad was the manager of St John's. But like, if that match was on tomorrow, Jerome, I said it before, I would do the same thing. And like, it's football. Do you know what I mean? And the way I see football and hurling, it's business. You know what I mean? It's not personal. So
but when you look back on it, Domhnall, the wider picture about it, not just what you actually did, but was it a cry for help from you? Sort of say you're looking for a bit of attention, but you're looking to say that you don't know what I'm going through here. Yeah,
well, anywhere, if I got attention off anybody, so I went to Laverne, got all this attention, sitting in the pub, people buying you drinks and all. I was just off the back of winning the Ulster Junior Championship, where we're going on All Ireland run. So all these people were coming up to me, and they were loving me. And I, this is big Domhnall, as you say, playing for Antrim. He's only after getting the Gaelic Life Young Hurler of the Year and things like that. And people are like, this fella's brilliant, this type of thing. And I loved that, because I was like, Jesus, these ones love me. But at the same time, it was me hiding in a wee shell poo, Jerome. Like, and I always had these issues going on in the back of my mind that I always, put behind me and put behind me and put behind me. And the best way to describe it, like the lad, you see it on the TV there, an advert, a lad out partying with all his mates, and he comes home and he puts the mask off when he's in front of the mirror. And like, that was me every night, or every time I went home. If I went home, that type of thing. It was just so fake. My life was so fake. It was being fake to everybody around me. It was terrible. It wasn't. It's actually sickening. Thinking about it, just the lies and stuff you tell people, and it wasn't good. But probably do like acting out, maybe sending messages to people saying, "Well, I'm going to do this or do that." Threatening to maybe kill myself at times, and it was a cry for help. But at the same time, Jerome, I probably didn't want to help, you know, and it took me to really probably hit the rock bottom with the drink and drugs as well. To hit that rock bottom and be living, and like I woke up one day on the street and things like that and broke and no money, and like maybe that's what I need, what needed to happen to me to say, do you know what, I need help, but more importantly, I want help. So because like a lot of people were coming to me throughout them years, even people from St. John's who still were very close to me, you know, the likes of Andy McCann and Paddy Hannigan, and then in Lavure, Paul Buchanan and stuff, all these people, like lovely people who like they genuinely have their best interests, you know, at heart, and they're always offering these services and offering this help. But you know, I never wanted it, Joe, and that's just me being honest. So, but that day I just said, you know, accept it here. I have a problem here. I need help, and it was the best thing I've ever done. But I wish I had it done a couple of years earlier, to be honest. But sure, here we are.
Well, you were ready, you were there, but you're obviously confused before that. But what about that low point you're talking about? You were basically on the streets. I mean, how low did you go?
Like, Joe, I was over playing for Warwickshire. We're over playing for Warwickshire Hurlers and John Mitchell's club. Brilliant club, by the way. But I got into a bad rut over there, and a lot of people here didn't know what the crack was. Like, I was getting a lot of money over there. More money than like a 20 or 21-year-old can imagine, you know, that type of thing. Like, it was ridiculous. But and that's whenever the drinking started and the drugs started, and you know, like cocaine became a part of my drinking culture. You know, they both coincided with each other, and it got worse and worse. And it got to the stage, like, Drum, where we're partying all night and we're getting picked up at 5 o'clock, but you're throwing a few whiskies or whatever and taking a few lines of coke and going to work and coming back and doing the same thing. Or even it got to the stage where you're not working, or you're telling the lads in the house you're away to work, but you're not really, you're away to the pub. And there's one night we were training, and Gavin Duffy from Rossi, he was over training us, and Gavin's a gentleman, like, and I said to him, Gavin, I just booked a flight there, I need to get out of here. And he says, right, that's dead on. He was actually flying back home that night, and he said to me in the airport, like, don't know, what's the crack here, where do you want to be? And I said, Gavin, I don't want to be here. And he said, that's right, move home. And I said, Gavin, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be alive. And that night then, whenever I went home, Gavin took me and I stayed in his house, which, like, you could never thank him enough. But the day after, I went back then and said to all the boys or whatever, all my mates, that's me home now, I'm just going to travel back and forward to Warwickshire, everything's great. And then I was like, right, pretending everything was okay again, you know, that type of thing, painting the perfect picture and running away from problems. But I got a wee apartment down in the Falls Road, and at that stage I had probably 15 or 20 grand, you're talking, Drum, like, and I was out living like a king, like, you know, going to going out partying and then having house parties back at my house, and the place was just, it was unbelievable. And I went to lift money out one night outside the Rock Bar, and I had nothing left, and there's me going, Jesus, where did that money go? And it was just like, because you're living like a king this whole time, and then now you're bang, you've no money. And then
everybody must have loved you, because you must have been buying drinks all over the place.
So, see, the thing, like, I if someone didn't have money, I would have said to them, don't worry, there's £100, and they'd never have asked for that £100 back, because by them it's coming out and drinking with me, it made me look and feel okay, because they were doing what I was doing. And if someone didn't want to do that, like any of my friends, then I would have went and found someone else who was like me, like another alcoholic or whatever, and would have sat with them, because I was like, do you know what? He makes me feel good about myself. And I got to the stage where it was like, you're drinking with like 40-year-olds, you know, boys double your age. And I was getting on as if I was one of them. It's like, I used to play for Antrim, I was this, I was that. And that's the way I was. You know yourself, you went to a pub and you hear lads talking, and I was one of them people. And then looking back, it's embarrassing, do you know what I mean? But anyway, whenever I got the low, I was saying about the having no money, and then I lost the apartment. And then, like, we were all out one night. So it was after training in St. John's, whenever I was coming out down the lane. And at this time I was living sort of out of a rucksack, sleeping in mate's house, sleeping there. And one of the boys said to me, "Here, Donald, do you want to lift home?" And I said, "No, I'm grand." And I went down to Rock at a tenner there, threw 2 pints into me. And Waldo, the barman, who used to make me my stew every Monday in the Monday club, said to me, "Right, Donald, we're shutting up here." And I went out and I was like, "What am I going to do now?" In the wardrobe, do you know, that type of thing. I woke up that next morning under my granny's porch, absolutely shaking. And my granny bawling her eyes out, crying and stuff like that. And it's that sight, like, I'm thinking now, and that's like the look in her eye, you know, it was just terrible. But a good reminder, Jerome, anytime you do think about sort of drink or anything like that. But and then seeing her like that, and that was like broke. 3 or 4 stone overweight, you know, a beard, hair, and it was just terrible, Jerome. You know, it was just, the next thing was death, you know what I mean? The next thing that my granny would have been planning for me would be a funeral, you know, that type of thing. Like, that's where it was going. And I don't know what happened. I just found this sort of bit of hope or a bit of light, and I would be quite sort of faithful now and a bit spiritual and stuff. Like, and maybe that's what it was, I don't know. But I got some sort of help from some sort of higher power to get some sort of help. And, you know, I accepted I had a problem and I went and get sorted out. Like, but like, it wasn't all easy. Like, you know, even down in concilios and stuff like that, it was tough going. But
And let's just go to that in a wee bit more detail there. Yeah. So you admitted you had a problem, you asked for help, and there were people, as you mentioned already, you've mentioned their names, who were there and only too willing to help you, and they brought you down to Newry, and they brought you to this place where you then spent 12 weeks. What was it like just on that journey down, or even just walking into that place? You must have been terrified.
Well, Paddy Hannigan from St. John's, he picked me up at my granny's that day, and I was soaking drunk with sweat. And at that stage, I'd been off the drink a week, like, and the drugs, and you know, you've got the shakes and stuff like that, you know. But that drive from my granny's house in Aldytown to Newry and the Dublin Road it felt about 4 hours. It just dragged in, and Paddy Hannigan he was talking about away to me and stuff like this here, and I couldn't tell you a word what Paddy Hannigan said to me on the way down that road. You know what I mean? I was just thinking, I was just in cloud nine. But even walking in them doors, and I remember going in and sitting in the wee waiting area. So you go in and you get assessed. So if you've been on the drink or whatever, they knock you back. So you have to go in and clean, you know, that type of thing. And there was people walking up and down the corridor, and I'm looking around me. And I'm going, Jesus, what have you done? Like, you know, you're 21, 22 years of age and you're sitting in a rehab centre. This is real. Like, what have you done? And I beat myself up a lot. Drum in the first week or two, you're put in the assessment area. So, and you've got a courtyard like this. It's about 20 meters by 20 meters. And that's the only space you have to go outside. Like, and you're just sort of, them 2 weeks were tough, like, you know, and talking about sitting by yourself and sitting when you're with your own feelings. Like, it's the first time that I hadn't ran away from anywhere. The first time that, you know, I haven't turned to a bottle or turned to a bag or anything, or you know, anything. It was just me.
Why didn't you run away? I mean, because you could have just left the place, and I know other people did.
Yeah, well, funny you say that. Like, I got friendly with someone, and he was actually done time or whatever, and I said, what was tougher? Cúamara or prison? And he says, I could walk away from here anytime I wanted, but in prison I knew if I was there for 2 years, I was there for 2 years. You know, he accepted that. I could have walked away, but Drum, if I'm going out the gate, like, it was like a second chance of life I had. You know, I knew it was a lifeline. The easy thing to do would have been probably to walk away, but, like, I don't know, again, where did I get the strength from? Where did I get the head strength from? I don't know. But,
well, what was the first kind comment, if you like, the first comment that made you feel welcome there, or that you could get sorted out, you know, it'll give you a bit of positivity, a bit of encouragement? Because you're describing it there as a really, really tough battle, which I'm sure it was, but there must have been a moment when you thought, maybe I can do this, maybe there is hope.
Well, it was probably whenever I started reading books, Jerome, and it was probably whenever I picked up Ossie McConville's book. He was gambling, like, and I wouldn't be a big gambler, but an addict's an addict, you know, that type of thing. And I could relate to an awful lot of things that he was saying, you know, like maybe like going on the football pitch and run away from problems. And whenever he was on the pitch, it's the only time he could have been himself and in the line and things like that. And I was like, do you know what? Like, there's someone like Ossie McConville done it. I could do it. And there was another guy in Coomora who was about 5 or 6 weeks ahead of me, Raymond McGrew from Tyrone, and we get very close. Like, and like Raymond, my granddad's from Tyrone, like, and we used to watch Raymond on the TV, you know, that type of thing, like, and like what a player and what a fella. And he used to work in the kitchen, so he was coming in and serving me my food, while I was in the assessment, and he worked. Sorry, there was like therapeutic duty, so he that was his therapeutic duty to work in the kitchen. So he used to come in and then he used to say to me, "Don't keep going," and things like that. So looking at them boys and looking at GAA fellas, and I'm going, do you know what? Here, I have a chance to get back at this. And I was very early on with it, probably within 2 weeks. You know, I wrote down a few things and said, right, I'm going to do it here. And the biggest one was that I want to get back and play for my club in the championship, and that was on the 1st of September or something like that. And you know, it was a good feeling doing that. But you know, setting them wee goals, Jerome, and seeing them other boys, the likes of Ossie McConville and Raymond McGrew and other people in there, you know, it gave me a bit of hope.
So the GAA was crucial, even when you were in there.
Massive. Like the GAA is it's the biggest part of my life. Do you know what I mean? And I would be lost without it. The people like that have helped me, even in work now, like my boss John Kelly in HomeFit, he's also my senior football manager. Do you know what I mean? Like Andy McCallum, who's like my life coach. Do you know what I mean? Like people like this, like any direction that I turn, like there's GAA people, from whatever clubs. Like I mentioned Gavin Duffy previously there, like he's a Rossa man, like so Johns aren't supposed to like Ross. so do you know that type of thing, like, and like the GAA has been massive part in this. But even like from the aftercare and stuff like that, and the GPA even set me up with a counsellor for after, and I still go to that and things like that, you know. So there's a lot of services that are available if you want it, you know.
But you still could have bluffed your way through all that, you know, and you could have told people what they wanted to hear. You had to have complete and utter honesty. How did you get to that point where you were totally honest with yourself?
I know what you're saying. Like we were in groups, so probably like a group of 10, and I'm not lying to you, Jerome, I thought everybody in the room was being honest. You know, that type of thing, and talking and being honest and things like that. And I remember Pat McGinn saying to me one time, he said, "The man in the mirror." And I went, "What is he talking about?" He said, "The man in the mirror, that's the only person you need to be honest to." And I was going, "What the?" Like, but you know, I sort of figured it out. And every night, sort of, whenever I went to bed, or every morning I woke up, you're looking at that person, looking back, that person who I didn't connect with yet at that stage, Jerome, going, "Am I being honest here? Am I being fully honest?" And I'm not lying. It took me about a month to actually go to one of the counsellors and say, "Here, do you know what? This is what's wrong with me. This is how I really feel." And I didn't say it in a group at that time. I don't talk about it an awful lot. It was personal, and I got it out there. And you know what? I just went to myself, 15 years of like running away from problems and drinking or moving clubs, going to Boston twice, you know, letting people down, borrowing money and never giving it back for a 5-minute conversation with someone to clear my head. I just went, "Jeepers." And I did. It felt about 2 stone later. It was amazing. So the man in the mirror, and I still do it to this day. Like, you know, I look at myself sometimes or think to myself, "Am I being honest here today? You know, am I bluffing myself?" And I think there's some days that I do bluff myself. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not a continuous thing. Like, you can nip it in the bud and then move on. But that was the biggest thing about being honest. You know, who cares what other people think of you, or who cares what everyone else in the room is saying?
One of the hardest things, Domhnall, is actually to look in the mirror, look at yourself, and say, "I like myself." Say, "I like you."
Yeah.
And I know it sounds simple, but it's very, very hard to do.
Yeah. And so hard. Like I hated myself, John. But that's what I was saying. Like I was when I was saying I wasn't connected with that person. Whenever I looked at myself back, like and even though you find yourself looking in the camera, whenever I looked at myself, like that person looking back at me, I was going, "Who is he?" Like I just didn't have that connection. I hated myself. I was just, I was just like, what? You know, it was very, very confusing. But whenever you do build that relationship with yourself, and that's the biggest thing you have to have, eh, in my opinion, because how can you have a relationship with someone else, or a relationship in work, or a relationship with teammates, if you don't have one with yourself? Like, do you know what I mean? If you can't love yourself, then how can you love other people? Um, and like if I had said that a year ago, I would have cringed at that, drum. Do you know that type of thing? But you have to. You definitely have to have that relationship with yourself. And so
But
all
you
this
were being
me
the
going
big
out,
lads,
right?
you know, you were being the big lad, you were being the macho guy, you know, you were the guy that was indestructible and you were a great laugh and all that there. And, you know, we hear so much, I mean, you touched it on earlier on about suicide and that, and we hear so many stories about young men in particular and you know, things that happened or whatever. Have you got a message that can help in any way for people like that? Because you were in an area, you said yourself, you're in a place where, you know, you weren't taking the advice, you were hearing it and you were saying, yeah, but it took you a long time to act on it.
Just be honest with people. Would be my message, because like I know they're saying like a problem shared is a problem half and stuff like that. But see if you actually go out and just pour your heart out to someone and be honest with someone. Like I thought a lot of people had respect for me a year ago, Jerome, or 2 years ago, for what things I've done or whatever. But I think from relationships that I've had with people lately, the respect that people have for me now for being open with them and being honest with them, even my faults, uh, it's brilliant. It's a great feeling, because I'm not kidding anybody. But like anybody who's feeling down or suicidal, it's just talk, like, you know. And I'm not the best at talking, even like the other fellows and stuff like that. I wouldn't be great at that, or opening up, or being emotional or anything like that. But it's definitely the best thing to do. It really, really is. And um, find it from somewhere in you. You know, that gut feeling that you have. You know, if it doesn't feel right, then it's not right. You know, things like that. And like, and it's very, very easy to go down the road of maybe taking supplements or taking things that alter your mood and things like that. But you know, maybe that's not the answer. You know, but definitely being honest and talking to people, and exercising and trying these things, like, you know, all these wee things that can all add up. But yeah, but it's a very hard position to be in, Drone, especially nowadays, like in social media, and people are constantly like comparing themselves to other people. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you're seeing all these people going out in friend groups and, you know, taking Snapchats, and maybe I'm sitting back and going, Jesus, I don't have the same amount of friends that he has, or I'm not in so many as much as group chats or whatever they got there. And like, it's all nonsense, you know what I mean? Like, and I've found out lately that, you know, if I can count my friends in one hand, then I'm very, very lucky. You know, they're good friends. So find them friends, find the good people, and stick with them. Stick with the winners, as I was always told. And you'll probably not go far wrong.
Do you look back now and think that you definitely had addiction, or was it just maybe a period that you went through where you just threw yourself into these things?
Um,
I mean,
to be honest with you,
You're very young. I don't know if it's an age thing, but you think of people who are addicted to things where they've had it over a period of time, but I don't know.
well, the first thing I do whenever I go into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, I say, my name's Domhnall and I'm an alcoholic. And every morning I have to tell myself I'm an alcoholic. And it's something that I've accepted, and something that I'm proud of now, being a recovering alcoholic. And I think the day I say to myself, I'm not an alcoholic, is the day I'm in trouble from. Um, a lot of people say to me, a lot of my friends who maybe don't understand, but like, I know where it brought me. So would I be willing to go out and say, oh yeah, sure, I'll have one? Like, the amount of times I've heard in the A rooms, like someone like who's maybe been sober since they were my age, and said, went out and said, ah, sure, I'll have one, or it'll not be too bad. And the first night they went out, they probably did have one, and it wasn't too bad. But maybe 2 or 3 or 4 weeks down the line, they're back where they started off. And like, I would never be willing to take that risk, Jerome. Like, it's night and day the difference in my life. So if I started to question myself, and don't get me wrong, sometimes you probably do question yourself, saying maybe was that just a bad period in my life. But if I convince myself that that was just a bad period in my life, then I genuinely believe I'm in trouble. And sometimes I sit back and it upsets me, like, and you're going, Jesus, like, if I ever got married, would I not be able to have a drink and enjoy it or things like that? No way is the self-pity and things like that. And then you just go, what's the point? And that's like now, before the coronavirus, I was able to go out with the lads and have a bit of crack and know when to go home at the right time and things like that. So I don't miss it. I don't miss being in that life. I don't miss being in debt to people at times, or I don't miss waking up with like a hangover and things like that. So like, I was having a bad period in my life, and I don't want to go back to it, Drum. So like, I said it, and I always said about a day at a time, and like, I'm an alcoholic, and I've accepted that, and it's something that I just have to live with for hopefully the rest of my life. But it's a day at a time, really.
Let's talk about the part that GAA has had then in your recuperation, if that's the right word, because you talked about at this place, Cian, where that you were there and you were getting up at 6:15 in the morning to do meditation and stuff like that there and do your daily work and that. But you also said in an article I read that you were also getting up earlier than that at 4:45 before the nuns got up, and you were doing runs and that because you were thinking, championship, I'm going to be fit, I'm going to get back. So you had the bit between your teeth there, and you were always thinking of putting on that St. John's jersey and even putting on the Antrim jersey.
Yeah, well, that was like, I knew if I could, whenever that sort of light bulb moment came, whenever I was in Concilios, like, I made a promise to myself, as I said before, that I would be back playing for St. John's in the championship, but also I'll be back playing for Antrim. Because I know with lads that I've played with and played, like, I was on the Antrim both panels in 2016 when I was 18 or 19, and I knew I could get back there, but it took an awful lot of hard work. Like, whenever I went into Concilios, I was 20 stone, and I came out of it 16 and a half or something, or something like that. So like, me and a fella, Jared Harrington from Dublin, we were out like three mornings a week, training, doing runs and things like that, and then we started up our own wee circuit class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But I was trying to get it more and more. Do you know, I went to the Sister Sheila, and she's the main woman down there now at the minute, and I said to her, like, sister, can start up more circuit classes and stuff like this, and I'm looking to get fit, man. And she said, don't know, did exercising get you make you stay off the drink? And I said, Jesus, what do you say to that? So it was more sort of a place where you calm down, and a famous quote of Sister Concilios, like, slowly, slowly, gently, gently, and everything's just so, relaxed and calm. And even a few people say to me now, if you were any more laid back, you'd fall over, but it's a good way to be. So they were definitely anti it at the start, but I think with people like Pat McGinn in there, they realised that, the exercise and me getting back to playing championship and me wanting to having a go to back playing for Antrim was all part of my recovery, and it was, like, I know boys that go to meetings 4 or 5 nights a week. I would maybe go to once a week. And there's people saying to me, you need to be at more meetings, you need to be at that. And I'd be going to asking people for advice and says, no, but they're not doing what you're doing. That's your recovery. See where you are, where you've came from, back playing. Said that's your recovery, and like, everyone's different. So you should be just keep doing what you're doing. Like, but tough. It was tough, Jerome. Like, Concilios, so 12 weeks, so you do 12 different topics. So self-discipline, things like that, change. Without change, there's no recovery. Spirituality, and the big thing that I took out of it was, like, the power of a prayer. You can't beat the power of a prayer, and people might laugh at people, but like, it works for me. Doing the rosary and things like that. There may be, like, I live just next door to a chapel there, and Our Lady's there, and I love going around and sitting there. You know, it's very just therapeutic. There's something very warming about it, and I suppose anyone who's got that feeling will know what I'm talking about. And it's just you feel as if you're not alone. You feel as if someone's leading that path for you. And like me always trying to find that connection or trying to find that relationship with myself and finding maybe a relationship with a prayer or whatever has been very, very good for me.
What was it like then when you finished your 12 weeks and you went back to Belfast and you got sorted out, you got a job, as you say, with John Kelly and that, and then you went to training and started putting on a jersey again and you started running up and down with the lads and you started hitting the ball where it was a slither or a football? What sort of thrill was that, or how different was it to before?
It was amazing, Jerome. I came out of Cumara on the 30th, Friday the 30th of August of last year, and that Sunday we played St Galls in the quarter-final of the Antrim Senior Hurling Championship. I didn't start, obviously, but I came on for the last 20 minutes. And whenever I get told to warm up, I swear my stomach, the goosebumps, and everything. We were winning the 7, 8, maybe 10 points at this stage. And whenever I come onto the pitch and people say, what's the best thing you've won or what's the best thing, you know, and me coming onto that pitch that day was the proudest moment. Like we've won a lot underage and things like that. And it was the best probably moment of my playing career so far or whatever, because it was the first time, Jerome, I was running on the pitch without running away from problems. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't using hurling as an outlet. I wasn't using anything as an outlet. I was just going on there and being myself like I was 10 minutes before coming on. It was great. It was a great, great feeling. And being among the lads training and stuff, and it's hard to describe. And I still get that buzz, like going into even the county training there over the winter, and lads are, you know, dark nights and it's freezing, and I'm going in like, and I'm going, this is great. Like it wasn't so long ago I'm sitting in Concilios just dreaming of this. So you need to find, do you know what I mean? And it's brilliant. And then sometimes whenever, you know, because sometimes whenever you're going, I couldn't be now going to training at night, or I couldn't be now doing this, and you just think back to them wee nights of sitting in Concilios in the room and just whatever, and you're going, geez, I'm so lucky. You know, I should be so grateful for this. And that was another one of the topics, was gratitude. You know, just being grateful for a lot of things. You know, I'm sitting here with a roof over my head. I've got a job. We've got things, you know, clothes, food. Like, sure, what else would you want?
That feeling when you ran on, you said was the best feeling ever. Were you in a place where you were like smiling to yourself, going, "This is great," or were you totally pumped up and going, "Yeah," or you know, or were you just totally relaxed in that moment?
It was more a relief moment, Jerome. I didn't play particularly well when like a few balls came into me and I maybe spilled them. Like I didn't have a hurling half or 12. I wasn't pumped up or anything like that. It was a smiling moment. It was a full circle moment, you know, that type of thing. And I don't think I've said this before. Coming on that day, felt as if I was really back at St John's then. Like I got a transfer back to St John's at the start of that season, played a few league games, and I was doing it. It was alright, like for what condition I was in. But I know a lot of people, a lot of my teammates still had the football finals 2017 in the back of their heads, including our Podrick, by the way, who didn't. We still didn't really see eye to eye until it got to Newry and I wrote them letters and stuff. So it was nearly like after that match, I'm back at St John's, and it was a great feeling. Like, you know, just something just felt so different about it, and I was raging this whole coronavirus happened because like I was buzzing for this year, you know. But we'll maybe get a better hurling yet.
And do you find that you have a different respect, if that's the right word now, for your opponents, for your teammates, for the jersey?
But most importantly, myself. I think, Jerome, you know, I have a massive respect for myself. I don't need to act out. I don't need to do stupid things. My teammates, a lot of respect, and I think it works. It's coming back to, you know, the seeing how much, like seeing how hard I've worked, you know, Jerome, and I think even that filters into other clubs too. Like I went up to Domhnall and done a talk one night and stuff like that, and even talking to some of the lads, and it was brilliant because I never, Jerome, I never done that. I was nearly like I hate the world, you know what I mean? Everyone hates me and I hate everyone. And like there's so much more to the world, there's so many nice people out there. So many friends that I've made even in the last year through Antrim and stuff, like that. But mostly, and I think the most important thing was the respect that I gained for myself, and then filtered into people having respect for me and me having respect for other people. Then.
The thing that comes across to me very strongly is that you've certainly learned humility. And it reminds me of an interview that I did with the last cabin man that left the Sam Maguire Cup. I interviewed him about 7 years ago, and he died about 3 months later. He was 87 years old, but I was asking him about 1952 and lifting the Sam Maguire and what was it like. And he was like, well, anybody could have done that, you know. And he scored 5 points. Well, someone had to take the freeze. I couldn't get a word out of him. You know, he wasn't bothered about all his successes and all his medals, you know. And at the end, I had more or less given up, and I said, well, how would you like to be remembered? And he said, as the man who never pulled a dirty stroke on anybody, on his opponent, and who played the game in the right way and treated people the right way, you know, and that's humility.
Yeah.
And it strikes me that you're in that place now.
Definitely. Definitely, Jerome. And it's a nice place to be in. Do you know what I mean? And I'm very, very like even thankful to other people, and like the things that people have done for me, and I'm going to myself, would I do that for other people? Do you know that type of thing? Like the lengths that people like even after Cumore, like Andy McCallum took me into his own home for 2 weeks until I found somewhere to live, and he got me an apartment to live in. Do you know that type of thing? So humility, like you have to be. Do you know, like you know, even in this, a lot of the people who I'm friends with are would reflect on my behaviors too. Like, do you know what I mean? I said before, like stick with the winners. So a lot of the people who I am with now and who I associate myself with are very like-minded people. Do you know what I mean? Who we would all get on and do the same things, and I think it's the only way to be, Drum. You know, even respectful too. Like, you know, it's massive.
We'll move on to pick your best 15 in a minute, but just to finish off, I'm going to go back to the slide idea that I had at the start. There's a couple here that I want to show to you, and they're maybe relevant to what you've been talking about. This one here is one that I particularly like here, and I'm going to get it to fit maybe to the, try and get it to fit to the screen or the full screen there. Yeah, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Again, it's this guy Wayne Dyer I was telling you about. Does that resonate with you?
Like then, yeah, it's even like the 2 seconds from. I've wrote something down here, and I want to see.
All right,
it's a wee thing. I was looking through this book earlier on, and it's sort of a wee bit like what you're saying there. And it said to me, one of the in the topics in Cumore, and one of the questions, it was on a Wednesday morning, and the topic was change, and it said, how did having your needs met affect your life? For an example, being seen, being heard, being accepted, being believed in, and having a safe place. And my response over a year ago now, and I said it had a great impact, though I didn't get it from the people who I most needed it from. And that's the way I seen the world at that stage. So I needed to be heard by certain people. I needed to be accepted by certain people. And as the time went on towards the end of it, the only person that I needed to be heard from and accepted and believed in and being safe was myself. You know, and that was what way I changed the whole way I look at the world. Do I believe in myself here? Yes. Do you know what I mean? Can I hear myself whenever I have a problem? Can I hear myself? You know, are you talking? Are you being honest? Yes. Do you know that type of thing? And that's the way I sort of changed. So stop seeking validation of him or her or whatever. Like, you're the only person who needs to validate things, and once you do that, and once you accept that, like that's brilliant. Do you know that type of thing? So that's the way I've sort of, and it's funny you put that up there, like, but that's the way I've changed the way I look at things. If I can accept and look at things, and the only person I need to answer to is me, and the only person is responsible for my behaviors is me, then like I'll be okay. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it like it doesn't always work that way, but that's sort of my wee thing that I try and work off, like mostly.
Yeah, you were worried about the way people were looking at you, but in the end you realized it's more important the way you look at the world. And I'm wondering now Donald, what in this frame of mind you're in now, it seems to me that your potential is limitless. What do you think is your potential, not just as a person, but as a St. John's footballer, St. John's hurler, Antrim footballer, Antrim hurler? I mean, do you really feel that you can go on and have a great career now? I mean, what are your ambitions?
Yeah, well, my ambitions and my whole probably overall life personally is probably to be content, Drum. Happiness, is there such thing as happiness? I don't know. People are always strive to be perfect at such something. Does it exist? Probably not. So being content, being comfortable in your own skin, it is a big ambition for me. But I mean, in terms of sport, is and it's Darren Gleason's favorite one is, you know, be the best prepared player that you can possibly be, and he uses it maybe be the best prepared Antrim team that we can possibly be. But I sort of put my own swing on and be right. I'm going to be the best prepared. Um, so be it, you know, I'm on the knees, that, you know, gym training, hurling training, um, mentally, which is 90% of the whole thing, I believe. Uh, so I'm going to be the best prepared I can be every day and see where it takes me. But like you surround yourself, I keep saying it, like surrounding yourself with good people, people who want to train hard, the people who don't, the people who don't want to go where you're going, then you sort of have to leave them behind, Jerome. And some of them may be your best of friends, or some of them, but there's a time and a place for that. But I'd be on sort of kind of a mission to get to the top, like, and to keep working hard. I don't know how good it could be or where it could go or anything, because it's a team sport. Do you know what I mean? And like if we win the Joe McDonough with Antrim, I would be so happy. And if we win a St. John a championship, hurling on football with St. John's, it would just mean the world to me. Like it's undescribable. Even thinking about it, it's you know. So that would be my ambitions. But overall, my life and everything, like just being content and being comfortable in your own skin, and just being able to go to bed at night and say, you know what, I didn't do anybody any harm today, and maybe I helped somebody, and like that's what way I want to be. Yeah.